So just when you thought the WWE couldn't get any madder, obviously Raw is moving to Netflix on January the 6th and therefore becomes the A show again. So we found out on SmackDown that we are getting the WWE transfer window, which for my American friends is basically what we do in soccer. I mean, maybe it happens in NFL and the MLB, but I do not believe that it is called the transfer window. It's a very, very Premier League English thingamajig. And all it means is this. A bunch of people are going to go to Raw, a bunch of people are going to go to SmackDown, and I would hazard a guess that Cody and Roman may be moved to Netflix for obvious reasons. I mean, I think somebody already announced that they're going to be a major part of the show for the first 4 months. And if The Rock is going to be over there too, which he would be, because again, it's Netflix and the big bad wolf. Cody, for example, could be there. Roman could be there. Gunther, Damian Priest, maybe Drew McIntyre could go the other way. What do you do with Seth Rollins versus CM Punk? So it is quite interesting. And again, we saw Dominic Mysterio on SmackDown talking to Nick Aldis. We saw Gunther. And I think Gunther will jump because, of course, if Cody goes to Raw, he's a WWE champ and Gunther is the World Heavyweight Champion. So you have to do that old switcheroo. And I don't mind it as long as we don't do a random draft in April. If we're going to do it, let's just stick to it here. But of course, WWE will do a draft in April. Now, NXT is being involved in this too, and I don't think we would have mentioned that on a whim. So you'd have to presume that some people are going to be called up. Let's make sure that this is no disrespect to them. It's not their fault. It's the booking's fault. You know, let's not do a Lyra Valkyria and a Blair Davenport. Let's do more of a Carmelo Hayes, which, by the way, also ties into something on SmackDown, because Carmelo Hayes was a bit like, excuse me, Mr. Aldis, I'm your number one draft pick, and now you're talking about other draft picks before there's even be a draft. You better do something with me, or maybe I'll go to Raw, which is not how it works. There has to be a trade. The GMs have to agree. And Nick Aldis was, well, I've got a special opponent for you next week, which is interesting because, I mean, it could be anybody, right? It could be like an Omos to make you go, ha, 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 that's funny. But Penta, obviously, Penta El Zero is a free agent right now. So maybe it could be him, and that would be pretty cool. I'd like him on SmackDown. I think if you are going to break up these rosters, he's a guy you could put on SmackDown and push to the moon because he's super unique and he's super interesting, and kids are going to love him, and the mask's going to sell like crazy. I don't like saying, oh, he's going to be the new Rey Mysterio, because one, I think that's putting way too much pressure on someone, but also I think it negates his own talents that he does bring to the table. And also, Rey literally changed the game for about 4.2 million wrestlers. It's just not in the same league. But it's very, very interesting, and I'm massively intrigued to see where it is going to go, as I am with Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes. Now, I'm just a full-on Kevin Owens fanboy at this point. You're allowed to get mad and look at me like, Simon, you're such an idiot. But he wouldn't go into the building because he keeps getting turned away from buildings, so he's learned. He's a smart person. So he made Michael Cole come out to his car, and he just cut the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Perfect Kevin Owens promo. He was being serious. He was being funny. He was talking about wrestling tropes. He was talking about being the truth. And while you can be mad at him for the way he goes about things, you cannot criticize him for the words coming out of his mouth because they are absolutely perfect. And we set up so much here as well. Now, firstly, he said, remember when Cody Rhodes left in 2016 because he wasn't happy with his spot? He left the company, man, and now he says the same kind of stuff to me, so he's being a hypocrite. Then Michael Cole was like, what about Jey Uso? What about Jimmy Uso? What about Sami Zayn? Now, KO don't care about the Usos. They can be lackeys to Roman if they want, but for Sami Zayn, he is going to get back to him at some point. Now, the reason this gets me pumped is because in my dream world, when I do go to bed at night, I like to be a super whooper freak. I would love it if somehow we got to a WrestleMania, it won't be next year's WrestleMania, and we did Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for a world championship. That's just what I want. I actually think the lay of the land of the main event field right now is so packed, it would probably be impossible. I don't understand how you'd fit all these things into place, but a man can dream, and this is what I'm dreaming of. And listen, WWE does not do anything without meaning it because they don't tease you in that way anymore. And I think this probably does tie directly into that draft. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to end up on the same brand once this Cody Rhodes feud is done. KO can be like, oh, hello, best friend. Remember when we fought the Usos at WrestleMania 38? Well, you went and flushed that down the toilet. This is probably why I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to win at Saturday Night's main event, but what WWE has done, I don't believe it's a zero jeopardy match. Again, if you disagree with me, please drop me a comment below, subscribe, interact with the video as much as possible. But sometimes in Cody Rhodes' matches, as much as AJ Styles is an all-timer, I didn't think AJ Styles was going to win the championship. I didn't necessarily think that Kevin Owens was going to do it when we were in the round one, whereas now I think there is a small chance. If you put a gun to my head, I would still pick Cody Rhodes. I don't think we're going to do the title change. But there's a part of me that thinks it could happen. Even if it's for 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe we change it back on that Raw 6 Netflix just to make as much noise as possible. And WWE have essentially said they're going to treat it like a WrestleMania. That's how big they want it to be, which is smart because the better you do on episode 1, the better you can do down the line. I just think the whole thing was great. We had the match with Chad Gable because Chad Gable had come out at the start, and we kind of tied this in too. He was like, I'm on Raw because I've been talking to Nick Aldis about this transfer window. Maybe I'll come to SmackDown, but I wanted to tell you, Cody, you let me down. You were my hero and you turned your back on your friends. Cody Rhodes even brought up Shorty G and Stardust, meaning we got Shorty G and Stardust chance in 2024. But there was logic there as well. He was like, you don't get it, man. Like, we overcome adversity, but you have to keep overcoming adversity. Otherwise, we become like you. And they just had the best main event. And no matter what you think about Chad Gable, and you're allowed your opinion, of course, from my vantage point, I was like, man, he could so easily fit into a main event spot. He's just such a good wrestler. And he's such a good character as well. So I'm not saying we need to do it tomorrow, but down the line, things change, plates move. I hope we just get a mini run against whoever it may be. Doesn't have to become the champion, although I'd be down with it. But when you have that level of talent, just tremendous. To go back to that Kevin Owens promo as well, the two lines that got me is when he told Michael Cole to please leave my rental vehicle or exit my rental vehicle. It doesn't sound funny, but trust me, it is. And then he wound his window up when Michael came back to the car. And of course, they got into a big old brawl to end the show, but we do have one more SmackDown before Saturday night's main event. I think it's really good, and it's got me super excited for Saturday night's main event, especially because Jesse Ventura is doing the commentary. Made me laugh. Some people on my X, I don't want to call it that, on my Twitter are like, who's Jesse Ventura? You don't have to know this. Obviously, some other hardcore fans are going to melt down. Go and educate yourself. Go and Google it, right? That's what the internet is there for. The only people that do work me is that a lot of ones who did drop this are the big gatekeeping accounts that are like, oh, I know everything about pro wrestling and you don't know who Jesse Ventura is? That's absolutely ridiculous, but let's not get bogged down in the negative Nancy stuff. It's not worth it. But those angles I thought were just so well done, and I'm so excited. I love the fact the transfer window is now kind of hanging over like the sword of Damocles. Who is going to go where? And then we had a title change as well. We had DIY finally proving the whole thing had been a ruse and they had gone super heel. And Johnny Gargano booted Chris Sabin right in the balls. Alex Shelley, I thought, sold it wonderfully. I mentioned this on Ups and Downs. For What Culture for SmackDown, make sure you check out and subscribe to them as well. But you would be like this. Like, sometimes you get the shocked face, like, this is such a trope and it's so dumb. But Alex was like, but dude, I've arranged this match. Somebody basically took out the Street Profits earlier in the night. It's going to be DIY, clearly. But Alex was like, we arranged this match because you were our friend and you told Nick Aldis you were going to keep Tommaso Ciampa in check. Johnny Gargano didn't care. Booted him in the face. He smiled at Ciampa. Ciampa smiled at him. And throughout this match, the DIY were falling out. They were pushing each other, and Ciampa went to get a chair, but they hit the meat in the middle of the 1, 2, 3. Now, I thought this elicited a wonderful reaction because some people are actually mad. That's what a heel turn should do. And even if you are mad because you're like, I can't believe the Motor City Machine Guns didn't hold the belt for longer, which kind of is more a management thing than a DIY thing, you can still then switch that rage to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano because they took it away from you. And I'm not into massively long title reigns all the time. I don't think there should be this sort of rule where you're like, oh, we can't possibly change a title after a few weeks. Why can't we? If you've got a good story and you think you can get more people over, I don't like calling it a prop. I think it's massively insulting. And as a man who has won, obviously, lesser titles than WWE championships in my own wrestling career, I can tell you it does have meaning to it. It does make you feel a certain way. And it does change how other people view you as well. So it's way more than that, but ultimately is a device to tell stories and to get people invested in characters. And I thought they did this so well. And a heel DIY is way more interesting than what we did have. Obviously, the Street Profits are going to have to be involved in this. Motor City Machine Guns aren't going to go anywhere. We still got the New Day. We still got the Bloodline running around. I thought this was really, really good stuff. I didn't. It's daring and it's brave, and it kind of tells you better watch the TV because you don't know what's going to happen. And the SmackDown Tag Team division is way better than it was a few months ago where I felt it was a little bit lost. And given what the New Day did recently, the Raw one should do it as well. So we're moving into 2025 with these exciting times going on, which also is kind of the same for the women's tag team belts. We're going to have to sort that out. But if Naomi isn't the person that attacked Jade Cargill, I need to watch more wrestling, which is actually borderline impossible because I literally watch all of it. But Bianca Belair obviously had that amazing match against Chelsea Green. Sorry, Piper Niven with Chelsea Green out there. Just that had to have been, guys, we're going to push her as a singles again. Don't forget she's awesome. But when they were getting into it backstage, Byron Saxton, who was, what's it called when you pervert the course of justice? Like, oh yeah, a few weeks ago when Jade Cargill did get attacked, I know it wasn't Piper Niven because I was with her. I was like, bro, it's been a month, dude. You need to speed up with this information. But Naomi basically had the list of Jericho, where she was like, maybe it's Liv, maybe it's Raquel, maybe it's this person. She definitely did it. And I think Bianca Belair saying, oh, I'm sorry you lost your title match. Well, your US tournament match, because Tiffany Stratton won that one. Naomi didn't look pissed off, but she was a bit like, you're giving me your sympathy, are you? Maybe I don't want that. So given that Bianca Belair cooked as a single, and given that I think Naomi's going to turn heel, there's a program. She can also go after Tiffany Stratton again, who won Money in the Bank briefcase and going through in the tournament. And I don't see why we shouldn't do that. I don't know what Naomi's going to be like as a heel, because I see her as such a quintessential babyface, but we have been feeling the glow for a long old time. So I think we should do it. I think Bianca Belair versus Naomi. If Jade Cargill is legitimately injured and she can't come back, and there's always all the best to her, there's a lot to that. It could even be a WrestleMania match if you are able able to find the right beats, especially because Bayley would have to be dragged into that too and be like, dude, what's going on here? So I liked all of that as well. As we are talking about injuries, shout out to Jimmy Uso, Tangaloa, and Bronson Reed. It sounds like Bronson Reed's got the worst of it. He's going to need surgery on his ankle. Tangaloa's got a torn biceps, so that's going to be a while, and Jimmy Uso's broken his toe. Sounds like the least of the bad. I've broken my toe. It sucks, and you can't do anything with it, and it's actually quite, not dangerous, but it's frustrating, right? It really, really gets to you. You never want anyone to get injured, but it does now make the War Games come across like this. Oh my gosh, the War Games. Don't mess around with that. So just a really good episode of SmackDown. I thought there was a lot here to sink your teeth into. And I mean, the idea was to get you super pumped for Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. But we also kind of moved the Bloodline 2.0 into the, I don't call it the mid-card level, but they're now just running amok. They beat up Apollo Crews at the start of the show, which upset me, big Apollo Crews guy. And then when Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight and Andrade were having their fallout, well, Shinsuke Nakamura was just standing there. I said his new music wasn't cool. I don't know if they changed it. It's way better now. The whole presentation is brilliant. But the Bloodline came out, they wrecked LA Knight, they wrecked Andrade, they left Shinsuke Nakamura because you don't want to mess with him. And Solo basically said, everyone's on notice, you acknowledge me, I'm the tribal chief, I still got the Ulafala, whatever it's called, so I am this guy, and if Roman wants it, he's going to have to come and take it from me. So it was nice to give him a serious edge. I don't want him to lose his goofiness. I don't think that sort of, lowers him as a character. I think he makes him more interesting as a personality. So hopefully we keep leaning into that. But also, this has to be a US title thing, so maybe Jacob Fatu is going to become the US champion. I don't have a problem with that as well. Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu being the US and IC champion, I think it makes all the sense in the world for 2025. Ludwig Kaiser could be a guy like that as well. Then we can elevate these people as and when. I truly can see Bron Breakker, or Ludwig Kaiser, or Carmelo Hayes, or a Jacob Fatu in a WrestleMania main event one day, depending on what we do with them. And that's really exciting as well. So yes, good stuff. Really, really good stuff. And people are going to come back, and we're going to shift some people around. So there's still loads more to do, but I'm never going to get mad at a title change. I'm never going to get mad about Kevin Owens being the greatest wrestling character of 2024. Chad Gable versus Cody Rhodes, just so effortlessly easy to watch. Chad Gable is a one-of-a-kind talent. I mean, a lot of people say like he's the reimagining of Kurt Angle, which is true, but that's such a high compliment, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, sometimes I don't think you should compare, but he is pretty close to it. Like, what can't he do? He can talk, he's funny, he can work, he understands how to be a coward and an idiot, he can be aggressive in the ring, so a huge fan of that. And of course, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman went on this show, and CM Punk has kind of gone off in his own direction with Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn, so there's a big crossover coming, I would imagine, probably on that Netflix shingamadig, which WWE is doing a very good job promoting. Like, I'm massively interested to see what we do there, and now I want to see, do we put Cody Rhodes on Raw properly? Do we feel like we have to have Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns on different shows because they're such big presences? Like, if Roman Reigns is only going to work a part-time schedule, which I have no problem with, I mean, first of all, he's earned it, but two, he did have pneumonia or whatever it was, so leukemia, I should say. So I think we should give him as much time off as he wants. I think sometimes we forget that, but I don't know where the benefit is. You'd have to assume that WWE wants to try and transform Raw into this absolute beast. I mean, on Netflix, they won't do this, but they could get 60 million viewers. Like, there's enough of the audience out there. I think Netflix is in like over 100 million homes. So it's kind of interesting to see, where does it land? Do more people start watching it because it is going to be sort of advertised to them on the homepage? And what do we do with all the old content? It sounds to me like this WWE channel called From the Vault is essentially going to be the network. They just uploaded the CM Punk documentary, the Paul Heyman documentary's there. There's a bunch of matches. I mean, I'm going to miss that. My email came through the other day saying your Netflix subscription, my network subscription has been cancelled because, of course, it's leaving the United Kingdom come January the 6th. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and all PLEs are going to be on Netflix, which is awesome, right? Because I've got Netflix anyway, so there's a certain novelty to it. But I don't believe you're going to get every Raw from the last 20 years, 30 years on Netflix. That's a shame. So if you have physical media, I would hold on to it. It's a very interesting situation because I think when the network did launch in 2014, we just presumed it was going to be a forever thing, like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and whatever else was out there, which was kind of silly. I mean, maybe you didn't think that, but I did, but it ties into a greater argument. But there's a lot to get into, but in terms of the plot right now, I think WWE has come out of Survivor Series just swinging bats. I think Saturday's main event is going to feel like a big deal. I think that Raw thing's going to feel like a big deal. We then get the Netflix thing. We then get the other Saturday night's main event, which I assume NBC is going to also want to feel like a big deal. Then it's the Royal Rumble. Then it's essentially the road to WrestleMania. And Randy Orton hasn't even come back yet. You have to imagine he could be there as Saturday night's main event. So it's a couple of thumbs up from me. Super intrigued about all of this. Can't believe they did it with the titles. Can't believe they're doing the transfer windows. What did you do, WWE? Well, they're taking risks. And I think that's important because maybe there was a little bit of a lull where we kind of moved into expected booking, which I'm also fine with. There's a reason. It's obvious because it makes sense. But no, I think we're doing good stuff. And while you are here, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. All the information is down there in the box. Come follow me on social media. Grillermind.com/Simon. You just go to Simon, get 10% off. Again, I always plug these. We've got a fitness channel starting in January. It'll be live in a few weeks. But these are the fitness supplements I use. And these are the fitness supplements I would like you to use as well. And you can always get 10% off using my code. I got t-shirts and stuff like this. 2 + 2 = potato. One of my stupid catchphrases over on Ups and Downs. But you is who I appreciate the most. Thank you to everyone that has said nice things to me at my wrestling matches recently. I've had a decent run for old Simon Miller. So I'm sure it'll be terrible again soon. You take care, my friends. I'll see you soon.